morning, everybody. It is Friday, finally. As Jeff said, Friday of another fucked up week. On Friday, March 6th, we are 14 months, 13 months into this nightmare. And since we spoke last time, guys, we're now at war with Iran. And apparently now, according to what Dana Bash just reported on CNN, about to head to war with Cuba. I guess Cuba's next.
And in the Middle East, it's a count of 17 countries involved.
17 countries involved, and that's not counting Russia, which the Washington Post broke news today, that Russia is now providing intelligence to the Iranians to shoot down American planes and to bomb American assets, which is how those 6 servicemen died with Shahed drones. I don't know if they're Shahed drones, but drones hitting their aircraft. So, meanwhile, Donald Trump said something this week that I think, honestly, in a lifetime of just a lifetime of being a reprehensible human being, is actually the worst thing I think he's ever said. And I don't know if you have that screenshot, Michelle, or I could just read it out loud.
Is it the one from yesterday with Jonathan? No, I don't have the Time Magazine one. No.
Okay, so he said, and I will quote, he was asked on Time Magazine, whether Americans should worry about being harmed in a terrorist attack here at home. And he said, probably. And then he said,
the same thing. Yeah.
And then he said, I guess. And then he added a line that I think should haunt this presidency for all eternity. He said, like I said, some people will die. When you go to war, some people will die. I want to be very clear about the context in which he said it, and then we could talk about this for a minute. He said this in a context of the FBI firing their Iran experts, the CIA firing 1,200 people, the Department of Justice gutting their counterintelligence units. And he basically has sent agents who are still there, who once focused on identifying foreign intelligence threats. He's reassigned them to immigration enforcement and border operations. They have dismantled or stripped key counterintelligence units tasked with tracking foreign threats, including Iranian networks. Iran is, I would say Russia's the number one state sponsor of terrorism, but Iran's up there with them. And they have assets in this country. Of course they do. And eventually this will come home to roost. And I don't know if it's going to be a 9/11 style attack or just something like you saw in Texas over the last few days, which apparently nobody in the media is talking about anymore. But nobody's
talking about everything you just said, Julie.
Yeah, they're not. And, this thing was like a ripple. He said it, and I specifically actually watched both CNN and MSNBC last night. I know we're going to touch on it. And it was kind of a by the way thing. Even on Chris Hayes, it was kind of like mentioned as a by the way thing. It wasn't its own segment. It wasn't its own outrage. It was kind of like, oh yeah, and then Trump said this. Friends, he is telling people that he actually doesn't give a rat's ass whether you live or die. Because, some people are going to die. And the last thing I'm going to say about this, and then please, shut me up, is what's galling about this is that Trump and his family will never experience the risk he's imposing on everyone else. Because they live behind a layer of security that ordinary Americans can scarcely imagine. They move through life protected by the U.S. Secret Service, by armored vehicles, intelligence briefings, advanced teams that sweep locations for threats. And if retaliation comes, if there is a proxy attack that targets American civilians, all of us listening right now, infrastructure, institutions, the Trump family will be surrounded by one of the most sophisticated protective systems on earth. He does not care about the rest of us. That includes you dopes in his base. He does not care. Because they won't care if you voted for Donald Trump or not when they come for us. Much like they didn't care, I should say our friends the Saudis didn't care, when they came for us on 9/11. The 3,000 people who died were registered Democrats, registered Republicans, Independence, not registered at all. It didn't matter. And I don't understand for the life of me, Jeff, I'd love to ask you why what I just said is not leading every single newscast in this country. Have we lost any sense of outrage here?
Completely. And journalism. Let me quote a few of the New York Times headlines from this, the Broken Times headlines from this week. Trump follows his gut. His national security advisors try to keep up. He started an illegal war. Another headline from the New York Times. The long march of presidential power that led to war in Iran. This is normalization in the extreme. Then we have, this is one of my favorites because they go full pitch bot. Democrats denounce Trump's Iran attack, but subtle divisions emerge. In other words, Trump wages legal war, how this sends Democrats into disarray. They see everything in that faux political lens. They see it in terms of trying to keep access to and profile Trump as if there is any sanity to what he does. They completely ignore the fascism, and I'm going to say it again and again and again and again, that we are under. And this is a war that is putting us into grave danger. And if you don't care about attacks on the U.S., well, maybe people will care about rising gas prices. Maybe they'll care about the fact that we lost a ton of jobs. Maybe they'll care about the stock market taking a nosedive today. Is there anything people will care about enough to rise up? And that's the so-called moderate press. I wouldn't say liberal press. But then if you go to the Wall Street Journal, they're full on hawk. Editorial, Trump's, the Washington Iran war pessimists. And they're acting as if the people who are against the Iran war today might as well have been against World War II and attacking the Nazis, even though the Nazis are now us. But we'll leave that for another day. Then they do a puff piece on Hegseth and his tough guy briefings. The battles that burnished Hegseth's MAGA credentials make him an ideal spokesman for the war and help explain why Trump has continued to support the former Fox News host. This is the level of coverage that we get. And finally, one more, if I may. Joe Scarborough is now acting like he's playing journalist. And he's talking about how he talks to Trump, or he talks to people close to Trump, wink, wink, or he talks to Middle East sources. That was the big story today. But I get this quote from this week. I just wish these Republicans weren't so stupid. I wish they'd listen to me. I'm trying to help them out a little bit, just to make a fair fight in the fall. He shows himself constantly to be not only Republican, but also he's a major hawk. For today, he said that there was just no question that the war is going stunningly well. I don't have the exact quote at the moment. My reporting from yesterday, the military operation has been a stunning success from all angles. So MS Now in the morning, I don't think it'd be so in the evening, is full hawk. The New York Times is prevaricating as usual. The Washington Post is a lost cause. The Wall Street Journal is full on Murdoch hawk. It's dead.
Yes. And I just want to put in context, I was at Fox in 2004 at the height of the Iraq War. That's when I got there. And I just remember one of the very first memories I have of being there was when they were swift boating John Kerry. And I said, kind of despondent, what does he need to do? Show you the shrapnel in his body for you to believe him that he fought in Vietnam. But it was done in the context of, oh, if you're critical of this war, you might as well be like a traitor to the country.
Love it or leave it.
That went on for many years. In fact, it went on until Donald Trump showed up in 2015.
The peace president, the anti-war president, yes.
Peace president. And all of a sudden you had voices like Tucker Carlson's Elevated, who did not want foreign intervention and criticized Barack Obama for foreign intervention and criticized Hillary for her vote on Iraq. And that became the mantra. But what I'm seeing out of listen, I'm friends with Judy Miller. I don't want to be critical of Judy Miller, the person, but we're seeing Judy Miller part 2 here in the New York Times and everywhere else. We're seeing us cheerled into a war. At least Bush pretended that there were weapons of mass destruction. At least he tried to bring the country along. What the hell are we doing there, and why won't anybody tell us?
This time we were 2 weeks away from WMDs.
Well, maybe. We were 2 weeks away. Maybe.
They said.
We've been 2 weeks away from a whole lot of things for a whole lot of years. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing, is they just continue to repeat that and not really question the validity of that statement.
Yes.
And, you know, we're seeing all these montages now of them saying this over the years, and not just our government, but Bibi Netanyahu. And, you know, the anger that I'm feeling towards this, I mean, reading that excerpt in Time magazine that Jonathan Lemire had tweeted out. I saw it last night. My friend sent it to me, and I was like, Jesus Christ. This is a man who killed 1 million Americans with COVID. He did not give a shit about you, me, anybody. And saying that even like he hates us is giving him too much credit. He just doesn't care. It's apathy. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about America, because all he sees with borders of countries are obstacles for him to make money. He would like it if there were no borders, if there were no countries, so that he could be corrupt and make money, he and his family, and that all of this corruption could flow freely throughout the world. And he's a sucker, and he's an idiot, and has been taken by Vladimir Putin. And I mean, that, Julie, I didn't know that Russia was now getting, I mean, of course they are. And here's the thing, we are in the beginning of World War III, folks. We are. We just are. And that's not just me being hysterical. I mean, Lieutenant Colonel Urso, who retired Lieutenant Colonel, who works with us here at Mayday, she has been saying this to me because she's my sister-in-law. She's been saying this to me for several years, that we are in the beginning parts of it. It was only a matter of time. And the fact that the media will not connect these dots for the American people puts us in grave danger. And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, something else happened yesterday that was picked up by virtually nobody, but it is so critical to understand what it's all about. Trump lashed out at the president of Israel for not pardoning Donald Trump. Excuse me, but I repeat myself, for not pardoning Benjamin Netanyahu.
Separated at birth.
Yeah,
separated at the jail door.
It lashed out, went crazy, basically accused him of being a traitor to Israel, which is like, I didn't realize that Donald Trump even, has any right to talk about that as an American, but okay. Because he will not pardon Netanyahu from all of Netanyahu's alleged crimes, of which, for which Netanyahu finally is about to stand trial. I feel like we're 2 weeks away from that trial, the same way we've been 2 weeks away from WMDs in Iran for like the last 10 years, but nevertheless, apparently it's coming. And he wants him to pardon Netanyahu. And I quote, because I need Netanyahu exclusively focused on this war. So to be clear, Benjamin Netanyahu manipulated Donald Trump into this war. I don't know about manipulated, but colluded with Donald Trump to get us into this war. And now Trump is basically saying, you got to pardon him, president of Israel, because if you don't, this war is not going to go well. You've got two people who are using their own people. And believe me, when people start going crazy on Israel, they hate Netanyahu just as much as we all hate Trump. So it's not like they're sitting there, cheerleading for him. Trust me.
Yeah.
They are putting their own people in danger, both here and there, because both of them have massive political problems that they need to get out of. For Netanyahu, it is existential. He's got an election coming up and he's got a trial coming up. For Trump, it's existential, and that he doesn't want to talk about the Epstein files anymore and needed a change of topic really fast.
Yeah. He doesn't want anyone talking about the fact that he raped children.
Yeah.
Let's get to the three files in a few minutes. I will not put this in a Zionist frame, but who in American media at this stage is pro-Netanyahu? Right? Barry Weiss means that CBS is, CNN will be, or is already because they're trying to suck up. New York Times, pro-Netanyahu, would we say?
I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far.
But not terribly negative.
Right.
Post is ignoring it, I think.
They might be harder on Zohran Mamdani than they are on Bibi Netanyahu.
That's actually really
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
I guess where I'm headed here is just that Trump's relationships with both Putin and Netanyahu are critical to what's happening. There was a headline this week that Trump didn't turn out for Putin the way Putin thought it would. And that may be part of what's happening with Russia and Iran now. But that relationship has always been in the shadows. Same with the Netanyahu-Trump relationship. It's critical to what's happening here. And again, the media aren't really analyzing it, let's say.
And since they're not, let me just put in context what Michelle was talking about and alluding to recently, right? About World War III. Because I think the media tends to treat things very much piecemeal, right? Oh, we have an attack on Iran here. We have war with Ukraine here. We have the Epstein files here. We have Netanyahu's, legal problems here. Different reporters covering it, different parts of the paper, different sections, different analyses. It's all one thing. And you're absolutely right, Michelle. And so was Lieutenant Colonel Urso about the fact that World War III began. I would say the early stages began 12 years ago during the invasion. Actually, I would go so far as to say it began in 2008 with the Russian invasion of Georgia, but let's say it began in 2014 with the annexation of Crimea.
Crimea, right.
And then, of course, the full-scale invasion 4 years ago of Ukraine.
Yeah.
But if you step back and look at the last 4 years with clear eyes, I think what you're going to find is a very disturbing picture that Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022 was not a regional conflict. It was the opening salvo of a much larger global confrontation. Yes. And what you're seeing now is first it was Kiev, now it's Tehran, the Persian Gulf, the Middle East, but the players are exactly the same. On the one side, you've got Russia and Iran and a quietly supportive China. And on the other, you have the United States and its increasingly very deeply strained Western alliance system. Deeply, deeply strained.
Strained by the United States, purely.
Strained by the United States. And, in the early months of the Ukraine war, when Moscow's military was faltering and its missile stockpiles were dwindling, Iran stepped in with the Shahed 136 drone. And that is a very low cost, relatively, I should say, long-range kamikaze drone, and it allowed Russia to keep striking Ukrainian cities and infrastructure, even when their more expensive missiles were running short. And now, right now, Russia is supplying Iran with intelligence to kill us. And so the Ukraine war was already a coalition war, even if the West wanted to pretend it wasn't. And now that coalition is tightening, right? Because they're providing Iran with targeting intelligence on American military assets in the Middle East. On Thursday, Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, posted on X that the Trump administration requested assistance in helping protect against Iranian drones and that Kyiv would provide lists, quote unquote, in response. So now Ukraine is helping us. And because all of this is happening in fragments, our press refuses to see this for what it is. And the economic dimensions of this are just as revealing, right? China is the largest buyer of Iranian oil in defiance of Western sanctions. Now this war threatens that supply line because the Straits of Hormuz are shut down effectively. So they're going to be relying more on Russia for their oil. And Russia depends on Iran for drones. Iran depends on Russia for intelligence. China depends on Russia for energy, dependent on Iran for energy. And that's what a geopolitical bloc looks like. Friends, there's your axis, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe we're that. I don't know who the axis is in this.
Well, and I mean, here's the other thing is like China and Russia. I mean, the goal here, I mean, I'm sure there's several goals, but they don't want the United States to be the leader of the free world anymore. And I would argue that we're not anymore at all. And, I think the other part of this too is singularly how the media has been reporting on this religious aspect of this. Pete Hegseth saying that this is basically like some holy war. There's over 200 complaints from active duty military that their commanders or leadership have told them that this is about like the rapture or whatever nonsense. Again, these have been singular stories, have not been tied into the evangelical support on the right, the rise of white Christian nationalism, the dangers that this poses, how in the last 5 to 10 years, like, our FBI and Homeland Security has come out with data saying that the greatest threat to the United States security is white Christian nationalists.
Well, everybody who said that is, I'm sure, gone now.
Oh yeah. I mean, of course. Yeah. That was, I believe the last report I saw on that was during the Biden administration. Right. But, like, again, all of the, like, they're not connected. Are they afraid? I don't, like, is it laziness? Is it just not enough words that they have? I guess
it's the right question, Michelle. I think there's a few dynamics that go on. One is that they don't look at history. We write the first draft of history. We think everything, we have the hubris of the present tense and think this is the most important thing happening. Two is that they remain scared of being accused of being advocates and liberal advocates at that. Three is the mistaken business belief that they can still attract the right wing to their products, whether that's shows or publications, and they can't. That's obvious. Four is chicken shit leadership. Right? If somebody were to stand out and say what's going on. And then finally, I think that there's just a wrong definition of journalism that comes from the time of mass media, of monopolies, rather than thinking that we have I've said it on the show before, pull out my prop. 1900, 46 daily newspapers in New York, which meant that communities had their a publication that spoke with and for them.
The Brooklyn Daily Eagle, right? Yeah,
right. And they could argue with each other, right? That was a faux sense of public discourse, but it had some value. And then when you get down to monopoly media, they're scared of pissing off somebody as opposed to wanting to represent their community for loyalty.
Right.
And I think journalism itself has thus become toothless and worthless in that definition. And meanwhile, what's going to replace it, you guys and other things like this, are still, it's never going to be mass, never going to be huge. But as Clay Shirky at New York University says, what's going to follow the death of mass media is chaos. And that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
And so the bad guys, whether you're a town mayor in New Jersey who's corrupt or whether you're Donald Trump, you get away with a lot of shit because journalists don't know how to behave.
Right. And also there aren't a lot of local journalists anyways in places like that. I mean, I look at my own hometown, at least Stefanik has had no, credible, journalists really with any weight being able to criticize her. And that's where Jeff, you make a good point about like the chaos and it makes me think of the creator space, right? So the creators online, and we talk about this, there's plenty of other, groups and people and influencers that are trying to tell the story here. And I sent one of these to you this morning. Yeah. If you don't mind that I play this. This guy, his name is Adam Dunnigan. He's a congressional candidate in Northern Virginia. He's running in the 8th district. He's a former Marine and he is ex-CIA. And he has been doing daily reports on what is going on with Iran and the United States. And like in just like a minute, maybe minute and a half, this guy is doing more than most of legacy media, if not all. I just want to play this.
Reason why this war with Iran feels so confusing. So let me cut right through it. My name's Adam. I used to be in the CIA, and we've been doing daily updates on the war. Today, I'll give you the facts from the last 24 hours, but then I'm going to give you the tools to understand strategically why this war is spinning out of control. So here's what you need to know. Last night, the Iranians hit Azerbaijan's international airport. More explosions reported in Abu Dhabi. The UAE continues to be the hardest hit in the region. There's footage claiming to show Iranian ballistic missiles over Jordan. Iran hit the primary oil refinery in Bahrain, which is still on fire, and a missile struck near a U.S. naval installation. A U.S. Navy sub sank an Iranian warship off the coast of Sri Lanka. And finally, U.S. CENTCOM is requesting support for another 100 days of Iran operations. So that's what happened. Now here's why it matters. This is no longer a contained operation between Israel, the U.S., and Iran. This is now a regional conflict involving 17 countries, and those in charge of American strategic policy are fundamentally unequipped to handle it. They've also spent the last 15 months undermining our diplomatic readiness and our relationships with global allies, both of which are necessary to prosecute this kind of war. Consider, Trump fired dozens of senior career diplomats, Several strategic posts in the Middle East have been vacant for over a year. He fired more than 1,300 State Department employees, many of whom were Middle East and counterterrorism experts. They dismantled USAID, an agency that should be playing a critical role in navigating the conflict and post-conflict environments. Kash Patel also fired a dozen agents and staff from the FBI's counterintelligence unit specifically tasked with monitoring threats from Iran. I know firsthand that Iran has a very capable intel service that has networks and cells all over the world. We haven't even seen those networks activated yet, but terrorism, sabotage, assassination, it's all on the table. When we stack all of this together, a bigger picture emerges, a picture of incompetence, lack of planning, and an inability to understand, even intellectually, the scale of the crisis they've created. That's why this conflict is spinning out of control, and this is where our alliances will be critical. Right now, the European allies are hesitantly supporting us. The French sent fighter jets, the Dutch sent warships, even the Ukrainians, they're sending drone teams. All of this despite repeated disrespect from the Trump administration over the last year. Because even if our leaders don't understand it, our allies do. They recognize this moment is critical, and they are attempting to protect, stabilize, and de-escalate. On the other hand, Trump, Hegseth, Rubio, Noam, Patel, all of them, they failed in their duty to act in the best interest of the American people. In only 5 short days, they unilaterally committed us to a massive regional war. This dwarfs Iraq or Afghanistan in complexity and in scale. And when we look at who's in command, who's making decisions, and who's working with our allies, we see a team of Fox News hosts, podcasters, Nepo babies, billionaires, and Mar-a-Lago influencers. And in charge of all of them, at the head of the table, is a calloused and diminished president who spent more time with Jeffrey Epstein than he did planning for war with Iran.
And there you have it.
Yeah. Well, I would put
Incredible.
Michelle, I would put Julie's summary at the beginning of the show alongside that, right?
Yeah.
Cogent curation and analysis of what's happening.
Yep. It's
But-
the Adams and the Julies of the world.
But
Honestly.
I appreciate that, but I mean, the point is, we have hundreds of people watching us right now, and by the time this, goes up on Mayday, it'll be thousands. It will not be hundreds of thousands. It will not be millions.
Yeah.
And
Nothing will be anymore.
nothing will be anymore, but the New York Times is still read by millions. And, Fox News still gets about 3 million on shows like The Five. I'm not suggesting Fox News will ever touch us to the 10-foot pole, but in the aggregate, if CNN and MSNBC both talked about this, even MSNBC is not doing this in
MS
prime
Now,
MS Now, excuse me.
slap yourself.
Now, right? The way they should be, and I think part of that is it's deeply, deeply troubling because we don't have, we just we don't have. We don't have anybody here who is putting in context what is happening, which is that this is not a one-off operation that we should be cheering because, yay, we got the mullahs out of Iran. Saddam Hussein was a really bad guy too. Awful, awful human being. Kim Jong-un is an awful human being. The worst human being of all of them is Vladimir Putin. And yet,
we roll out the red carpet for him.
roll out the red carpet for him. We have, Trump exchanges love letters with them. This is about Trump thinking he's going to get his hands on Iranian oil the way he got his hands on Venezuelan oil. Let's be very clear. And nobody's talking about that.
Which also ties back to his attacks on electric cars and wind power and solar power.
Yep.
He sees oil as a linchpin for him, a chokehold for him. He might as well be an Ayatollah.
Yeah.
And the part that I think also is not discussed enough is if I wanted to deplete every single aspect of the United States intelligence apparatus before waging any kind of war, I would have done what Elon Musk did. I would have done what they subsequently did after Elon Musk. I mean, think about that. Like
even the cybersecurity apparatus that we had in place to protect us from Russian intervention. I mean, they got rid of all of that. I remember the press asking on the tarmac, asking Pete Hegseth about this, and he went crazy-eyed on everybody and freaked out. But it's clear as day. It's, you know what I mean? It's happening right in front of us. And honestly, if these journalists are afraid of being called liberals or supporters of the opposition, I mean, listen, I hate to say this because, you know, I live in New York City, Julie, so do you. But when the ballistic missile comes, flailing at us on the corner of 42nd and 8th, they're going to wish, you know, that was the worst thing that somebody could say about them in that moment.
It's not going to be a ballistic. There's not going to be a ballistic missile because they don't have the capability to.
No, I know. I was just saying that.
But it's going to be.
It's going to be
something
9/11.
more simple. It's going to be something much more simple. It's going to be a 9/11.
Yeah.
It's going to be something. And, you know, I was talking to, as people who watch, you know, Mayday know, I have a very close cousins who live in Israel. And I was speaking to them. They have basically, I mean, they go upstairs to shower and they go back into the shelter. It's like up and down and up and down. Yeah. They're going crazy from lack of sleep. I remember that from when I was there in June. But like, it's you know, they didn't ask for this either. And that's I think what we sitting here in the United States don't appreciate.
I wish more people understood that Bibi Netanyahu does not equal the people of Israel who largely do not support and do not want this.
But it's not even that. I don't think most people appreciate what the human toll of this stuff is. And the reality, like, I've always said that Israel is the future of the United States. They're just always ahead of us. Netanyahu showed up before Trump. He's very Trumpy. He's just smarter.
Yep.
The eradication of the eradication of the liberal party. There was called, you know, Labor. Their Labor Party just is gone. Like, you know, it's Netanyahu and then the center right party as opposed to like the extreme right party. But there's no the liberals are gone. Like they don't exist in government.
And decent press is gone.
Decent press is gone because Miriam Adelson, you know, So decent press there is gone. I mean, Haaretz still exists, but the Jerusalem Post is pretty right wing. And so,
and I think about that because I remember you were telling me about a certain family member who you know had some bad stuff happen in the last, you know, number of days, and I am reminded again, we've talked about this, that Americans at large have been protected by this human, you know, the human toll, like in our backyards kind of way, right? We have an all volunteer military that we deploy overseas. We treat them terribly when they come back. We do not take care of our veterans. It is a disgrace. But even more than that, like we've had two giant oceans protecting us from the rest of the world in a way that other parts of the world, especially Europe, you know, if you're my age, you're 2 generations removed from, you know, the shrapnel and the bullet holes in the wall and, you know, the places that your grandparents could show you where something bad happened. We don't have that. We don't have that here. We've been very, very fortunate and very lucky to have that. Yeah. And, you know, we connect ourselves with terrorist attacks, right? I mean, those are the things that we have here. Mass shootings, things that we do to ourselves, completely different, but similar in the trauma. But, you know, I just don't think people get it. And I to this day, I'm hearing people be like, yeah, let's do. I'm like, if you're given the option between a salad and a heaping pile of cow shit, like people are choosing the cow shit, like still. And I don't understand it. I really don't. But we've been very, very fortunate here. I don't think people have any idea what we're in for. I really don't.
Well, yeah. So I survived 9/11. I was at the World Trade Center that day.
Oh my gosh.
I was on the last PATH train in under it.
Oh my gosh, Jeff.
And as a journalist, to my wife's continuing ire to this day, I stayed around to report.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
And I was a block away from the South Tower when it came down. And so I survived, obviously. Thank God. And it was a life-changing event for me, obviously.
Yeah.
But, you know, all you have to do is go to Europe and realize that 9/11s happened every day. All you have to do is go to Gaza and see that there's a 9/11 constantly. Yeah. Now, Iran and environs. We had one terrible, horrible attack on this country. And it caused us to rethink things, some in bad ways. And I will also have to confess that at first I thought, oh, getting rid of Saddam Hussein is good for the people. I didn't relate it to 9/11, but I thought, oh, it's good for the people of of Iraq, and I was wrong, dead
Same.
wrong.
Yeah.
But I was influenced, I think, as Bush wished us to be, by that. And we don't recall even that national trauma. That, as traumatic as it in fact was, as tragic as it in fact was, with 3,000 people dead, doesn't compare with a lot of the trauma that other nations suffer. So you're right, Michelle. We are very lucky, but don't know how lucky we are.
Yeah.
I just want to point to something that somebody here said, that they don't care about the people of Israel, but they care about the people of Iran. I care about the people of Iran. I also care about the people of Israel. If you have no sympathy for what happened to them on October 7th, please leave this chat right now. I mean, it is, you know, did you have sympathy for the United States when we were attacked on 9/11? Are you going to have sympathy for us when we're attacked for this war, which we voluntarily went into because our leader is an idiot? Again, most of the people who died on October 7th were people who actually were living along the border because they were working with people in Gaza to try to, they were like peaceniks, they were like buttsnicks. These are not people who supported Benjamin Netanyahu. So, you know, this bloodlust for Jews in Israel really just upsets me. So if you're going to bring that to this chat, just please leave. The Iranian regime has killed more people around the world than practically anybody. And I have tremendous sympathy for the people of Iran right now.
Yes.
They are not their regime. And the people of Israel.
I've had Iranian friends over the years. They are, they have an amazing political culture trying to come through. They've gone through a lot. This is not the way to change Iran.
Yeah. And thanks to our moderators.
Full surrenders. He's doing his macho thing.
Yeah.
But this might seem off topic. I don't think it is. There was a headline in the Washington Post today, quote, "Strict new Kansas laws force trans drivers to hand over their licenses." You could rephrase that as strict new Jim Crow laws force blacks to.
Yep.
Strict new Nuremberg laws force Jews to. And to just call it strict, to not see the larger pattern once again. And so much of what we're now talking about internationally is already here in the United States. The religious takeover, the right-wing takeover, the lack of democracy, and our press is failing us.
Yeah, our press really is failing.
There's another creator. This is the other video that I sent you guys.
This is really good, yeah.
That I would love to show people, talking about her family in Iran that she can't reach, yet CNN is on the ground having no problem. I won't, belabor. I'll just let her explain it.
Oh, CNN's back in Iran. Fairly good progress towards Tehran. It is a very, very long drive, though. Which is interesting because my texts still haven't been delivered to my family members because there's a regime-imposed internet blackout, but CNN has been able to report from inside the country and has been allowed to send their footage out to a U.S. news network.
So the gas stations, there's no long lines as gas stations. Fuel seems readily available.
I think one of the reasons there aren't long lines at the gas stations is because, and I'm going out on a limb here, a lot of people are staying inside because the country's getting bombed.
All the shops are really well stocked, even with fresh things like, for instance, fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, the shelves are probably pretty stocked because most people can't afford groceries right now.
You just don't see any sort of degree of panic anywhere.
Did you see the panic of the people who were getting shot at by the IRGC when they were chanting from the rooftops? Did you see the panic of the people who are getting stopped at armed checkpoints and being threatened? Did you see the panic of the people who are watching state-controlled television today as the IRGC said, if anyone shows any enthusiasm or excitement for what the U.S. and Israel are doing, we can shoot to kill you? Or how about the state TV host who threatened an Iranian women's national team and said that they should be punished harshly and considered treasonous because they chose not to sing the national anthem? Or how about the panic of the parents whose children were killed, reportedly by a U.S. strike on the school in Minab?
Taking a quick break for a coffee along the way. We've been driving for several hours.
Ugh, I am so glad you found a good cup of coffee. It is so hard to find quality coffee during wartime. Next time you want some coffee, let me know. I have so many places in LA I could suggest to you. You don't need to drive all the way to Iran. Oh, okay. Yeah, that tracks.
And for anybody who's listening, not watching, she shows an article that says CNN is operating in Iran only with government permission.
And without saying so, as far as we know.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want to diminish the people at CNN who are in the front lines. There was one, somebody from CNN, I forgot which of their correspondents, but their foreign correspondent, I think Clarissa Ward is fantastic. But one of their foreign correspondents was in Beirut and went in Beirut to like this heart of where Hezbollah is located. And then as soon as they got there, they had to leave because apparently there were bombings coming in.
Listen, the journalist, Aaron Burnett, I mean, they're all over there and they're putting their lives in.
They're all over there. And I don't know how Aaron Burnett's
everywhere over there is at risk now, one side or the other.
But again, they're putting this kind of, first of all, I had to say, I watched that clip live. I watched that CNN report live. And I thought it was I thought I had the same reaction. I was like, well, yeah, no shit.
The credulity of it.
The stores are all
credulity. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, oh, gee, I wonder why.
like where are these people? Like, you'd expect long lines to get out of Tehran if you thought anywhere inside the country was safe, but it's not. It's not like if we leave Tehran and go to Isfahan or somewhere else, it's going to be any safer. Right. So, that was kind of a strange reaction, I thought. Yeah. Of course, there's, people can't afford to, the inflation must be through the roof. I can't even imagine what it costs to buy something now. And so I think ultimately what we're talking about is massive suffering that is being brought up. Everybody. And soon it will come here.
Yeah.
We cannot.
Which should make us empathetic to the people of Iran, especially when Trump says, as if he can do this from afar, remote control. Okay, we're doing the hard work now. You rise up against thousands of well-armed, horrible secret police.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also, I understand that like many things can be true here also, right? I mean, the Iranian Islamic regime can be awful, the Ayatollah, all these things, people can be suffering, but also this war can be illegal and wrong, and at least the way it's being waged. And if people, even for one moment, this is again where I'm just like, where is the storytelling here? This is not about the people who are suffering. This is not about liberating the women of Iran who have been living oppressed for the last, 50 years. That's not what this is about. I mean, again, Donald Trump was on Truth Social telling the protesters, stay in the street, keep protesting against, your leaders. Meanwhile, we're shooting our own protesters in our street. The federal agents are shooting Renee Good and Alex Preddy in cold blood in broad daylight. It's not about that. It's never been about that. And while this may provide some temporary relief, maybe Donald Trump's now saying he's gonna decide who goes into power next. Like, oh my God.
Meanwhile, the Kristi Noem regime is being called in the New York Times and the Washington Post controversial. That's the strongest word they can come up with to describe her in headlines. Right? People died because of her. Concentration camps were under her.
Yep.
She broke laws right and left, but she's controversial, as if that's kind of all of our fault. Well, we're divided and debating about her again.
Right.
God,
like somehow we're not patriotic for not supporting all of their horrible, murderous policy decisions. And we're getting Mark Wayne Mullen, former MMA fighter, fake cowboy, and only member of the United States Senate that doesn't have a bachelor's degree. Really interesting guy. Tried to pick a fight with the CEO of the Teamsters a couple years ago, which quite frankly is one of my favorite videos that I just keep on my phone.
Do you have that video, Michelle? Because I don't think I've seen much of that shown anywhere, unfortunately. And I think it needs to be shown. And again, that was not shown when talking about Mark Wayne Mullen. All we hear about is what an easy time he's going to have in the Senate because all of his fellow senators love him. The guy is a doorknob. I don't know how else to describe him.
He dumb.
The only member of the Senate who doesn't have a college degree.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, it's like,
Well, when you're that ignorant, you don't try to do better. I mean, I got into this week around vaccinations on the socials. And so we have to understand the parents who don't vaccinate
No,
their
I don't
kids,
need
blah,
to
blah, blah,
understand
blah.
them.
I've had it with that. It's a post I want to try to find the time to write is I'm intolerant of ignorance.
No,
We
these people
where did this tolerance of ignorance get us? It got us RFK Jr. It got us measles outbreaks. It got us here because we were told that to criticize them was being intellectual and woke. Fuck that. They're ignorant.
And as the parent of a child, first of all, you want to harm your own children. I actually don't think you should be able to harm your own children.
Amen.
Because in other circumstances you get child services called on you if you do that.
Right.
But you certainly don't have the right to harm my child with your stupid measles outbreak. Like, why the hell am I? Why are everybody else's children supposed to be at risk because you don't want to immunize your child?
Well, we now have the second case where a parent has been sent to jail because they made it easy to get the guns for a mass murdering a young person. Well, okay. What about the death toll from measles that we're going to see? What about the death toll from all these diseases? There's no consistency of thought in this.
Yeah.
No. None
I'd like to
whatsoever.
mention one more thing, if I may, here. I'm not
please.
saying we're at the end, but I just want to just in this. It's what I focus on. So Axel Springer is buying the Telegraph in the UK. He was going to do it with David Ehun, who owns the New York Sun, who's very, very right wing and very pro Netanyahu. He now aced him out of the deal, and it's Springer alone, Matthias Döpfner, whom I know. And so it's the German Murdoch, who already owns Politico and Business Insider, who's been dying to get in the English-speaking media more profoundly. And so by all accounts, he's going to use, the Telegraph in print doesn't matter. He's going to use this to give us just what we need in America, more right-wing media. And so it gets worse, right? When we should see, it's what you were talking about last week. Who's going out there, Michelle, Julie, in your talks with, didn't you say this? You were talking with some rich folks and trying to get them to support, whether it's campaigns or media, and they just don't get the need.
No.
Well, they're scared too. They're scared.
Yeah, that too. Yes.
Yeah.
Especially, and it's on the left. It's the left-leaning donors that really, I mean, and this is like kind of a kind of more common characteristic, I think, just in general, of just wanting to see data and but the right, I mean, this is why they've, for the long game, have been so successful, is they just throw money at the situation and say, you know what you're doing, you go try it. If it doesn't work, we'll try again. We'll, until something works.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just a
PragerU.
completely different mindset.
Charlie Kirk, PragerU, Ben Shapiro, all of them.
Right.
Yep. I do have that clip, Julie. I don't have the whole clip. There's part of the clip where he says, Mark Wayne says something about like, you name the place, the time, or whatever. And this is like the second half of the exchange.
Of it is,
Except my challenge,
Mr. Mullen, tough guy.
Hold it. Answer the questions.
All right, y'all won. He made a lot of statements, right? And his statements are fiction at best.
Fiction, I read them.
Can you answer? What?
Answer the question, please.
I can't understand him, to be honest with you. He rambles so much. What was your question, actually?
You said I made a lot of statements.
No, but what's your question? I don't understand your question. Could you repeat it?
You said anytime, any place.
What's your question?
Accept the challenge.
What challenge?
You said anytime, any place. I'm accepting yours, so why don't you come
What
back?
challenge? What challenge are you talking
April
about?
30th. How about we do it for a charity at the Smoking Guns in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
We're not going to be talking about
physical confrontations here.
You want to fight me?
What do you say about anytime, any place?
Let's have coffee, discuss our differences.
That's what you said.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
All right, well, let's sit down and have coffee.
Let's do it.
All right.
I'd love to.
But it's funny how you're backing out.
Well, I don't back on anything.
Oh, God.
Here's the sad part I've heard as a follow-up to that, is that someone brokered a meeting between the two, and now they're best buds.
Yeah. And he spoke at the Teamsters guy spoke, I believe, at the Republican National Convention, which was extremely disappointing.
All right. Good.
Yeah. But that's the most Boston Northeast exchange with a guy from Oklahoma was just I mean, I still sometimes I keep that on my phone and I just play it for my husband. We giggle about it because it's just the funniest. It's so funny to me. But he like a total unserious clown. And this person, again, he has been out there talking about war and how how war is terrible and you can smell the war, like using all these descriptive, he's never served. He's never been to war, but he's out here talking like, I mean, it's that's some stolen valor language, the way that he's talking about this right now.
Well, listen to Hegseth with his, here's another one. Hegseth holding these air quotes press conferences with no press there.
Oh my God.
Only with sycophants from the far right there. And I'm not hearing that said. So these questions are being aired without the context of saying that's an ass kisser from the far right.
And he's doing, it's like Timu. Yeah, it's like he's out there giving these like Timu Shakespeare speeches. Yeah. Right. With like way too many adjectives and flowery language to, it's over the top theater school. It's like these people again. And I know I've said this so many times. All of these people failed at being actors. I think in high school, they wanted to do the musical. They were either too afraid or they didn't get cast or whatever it is. So they went into politics and decided to destroy the world.
That or wrestling. Michelle, are you from Boston?
I'm not. I'm from upstate New York. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I could do great.
I'm not from Boston. Oh God, I'm not from Boston.
I wanted to get reaction to the to Kennedy dissing Dunkin' Donuts.
Ooh.
Oh,
okay. I lived in Boston.
God.
I lived in Boston for 4 years, friends. I went to college there. I went to graduate school there. Let me tell you something.
From my cold dead hands.
You do not diss Dunkin'.
No, they're serious about their Dunkin'.
Not diss Dunkin'.
No, I have a lot of friends from the Boston area. And
people got wicked patched up there, and they need their Dunkin', and you do not diss Dunkin'.
No, and if anybody doesn't know the context here, is they're trying to take away the sugar, like iced coffee or something like the sugar coffee or something at Dunkin' Donuts. RFK Jr. thinks that is the best use of our resources is to ban sugary drinks, which is the last time I checked, they said that was nanny state shit from Michael Bloomberg when he was trying to ban the oversized drinks in New York City.
The number of Fox News segments I had to do about Michael Bloomberg and the nanny state.
That's Julie PTSD, sugar PTSD.
I forgot about that, Michelle. And now it's like, oh yeah, it's good for people. You know what? He's not wrong. Like drinking,
but be consistent at least.
But be consistent. Like drinking a gallon of Coke or drinking a gallon of like mocha latte with 15 pumps of whatever the hell they put in there. I don't know. I just drink my
But we'll allow like all of these, chemical companies and oil refineries also to dump shit into our water as like they've completely stripped the EPA and like of all of these regulations. I mean, it's just, whatever. We all know it's bullshit. It's just distracted, just nonsense.
Yep.
Oh, guys.
So this is probably not on your radar, but it was on mine. So I don't know if you mind if I raise this.
Yeah.
Because I'm fascinated by it. Is the Anthropic story.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And to recap for folks, Anthropic it was the one AI company that was used for classified material. It was used with Palantir. It's being used still now to target bombs, as far as we know, with Palantir. And then when Anthropic had two principles for the use of their tools, which were one, you can't use it for autonomous weapons, and two, you can't use it for mass surveillance of Americans.
Right.
And then Hegseth went batshit, and Trump then banned it from all government use. Then Hegseth added that it's a supply chain risk, even though he was considering it a critical supply chain. And then two-faced Eddie Haskell, Sam Altman comes in and does his own contract with them, and around this goes. What's interesting to me, back to the war context, is that Palantir, I've seen very little reporting on this, is the use of Palantir and the use of Anthropic as part of that in how this war is being waged. Part of what Anthropic is saying is not just that they had a moral question about the use of autonomous weapons to kill people, but it was also a practical use. This shit gets everything wrong. you shouldn't use it for anything that is mission critical in this way. And I wonder if we're going to find out whether this is what there have been speculation. This is just speculation, but the horrible bombing of the girls' school that killed well more than I think 150 people. One speculation is that it was based on 10-year-old data when that used to be a different facility. And if people are relying on this technology, and I use AI and I'm interested in AI, I'm on AI podcasts, but to use it in life or death and then to go ballistic, pardon the use of the word, the way Hegseth and Trump have, it just shows another whole level of dangerous ignorance here. And but the last part of this that's fascinating is that the public reaction to Anthropic, whether they deserve to be good guys or not, I leave it to everyone to judge, but people erased ChatGPT in droves, and Anthropic became the #1 download. And as someone said in one headline, Anthropic lost the government but gained the populace. And it's a little tiny indication of given the chance to say something with our own feet and dollars and downloads, we're itching for those opportunities. So sorry for that long soliloquy there.
No,
I find it fascinating.
people are thirsting for it for sure.
What is the Anthropic equivalent of ChatGPT?
A Claude.
Claude.
Okay.
So you could just go to Claude and just put something in.
Yeah, the only thing is Claude is mainly, the fans of Claude are mainly coders because it can do amazing work in code. It won't give you funny pictures and videos.
Okay.
It's
Will
really
it help
more
me write
serious
social
for
copy?
business and government and coding.
Will it help me write social copy?
Yes.
That's what I use ChatGPT for, like, mostly is just to help me with social copy.
Move
Saves
to
me
Claude.
time.
Move to Claude.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Good
I
to
will
know.
tell you
I
this
will
about
absolutely do that.
I will tell you this about ChatGPT. Never would I use ChatGPT for something without verifying it myself.
Yeah.
Ever. It is
Absolutely.
really accurate. Like I I put my own name into ChatGPT. There's a lot of stuff there that's just not right.
Oh yeah. I'm like, where are you? Sometimes I'm like, ChatGPT's brain, I mean, whatever that is, just goes, oh, I can't find the information, so I'm just gonna make it up.
Yep.
And
But
it's
we
like
get the
creative
second
writing.
order version of this too. I got zapped this week. I shared on TikTok a video of Stanley Tucci with the women hockey players. And it was gratifying, but somebody came in and said, Jeff, no,
It's
that was
right.
half made
There
up.
was even one that was going around
it
with
fake?
one of the yeah,
Part of
it was
it.
AI. I saw it too. I saw it too. And there was another one going around with one of the women's hockey players talking about the men's team that was super viral. And a bunch of people, I mean, Tennessee Holler, which is a huge account, they shared it, and everybody in the comments was like, "This is AI," and it's getting harder and harder to tell. But if you really, really look at the image of them, and you can kind of just see there's something that's just not quite right. If something doesn't look right, it's probably AI, and just confirm before you share it. That's kind of, unless it's like
as best you can. It's getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
Also, there's some study that came out that shows that AI use makes you just dumber because you don't rely on your cognitive reasoning skills anymore.
It's like how we, I'll use the scientific calculators, instead of, using our own long form division in math class. I mean, honestly, thank God for them because I don't do math, but it is just like a reliance, right, on the technology to help us get to the answer faster.
I'm about to go to Montclair State to teach a class this afternoon, and the subject is moral panic. Let's see if I can find this real quickly. So this is ever thus. Am I going to find this quick enough? Nope. Sorry. Sorry, folks. This is trying to plug my own book that nobody bought, so I'm not really trying to get anybody to buy it because nobody's going to buy it.
At least you wrote a book. It's amazing.
Yeah, I did that. Oh, I can't find it right off the bat. The belief that novels ruined especially women and children. And there's a great quote from 1795 of a critic saying that he'd seen mothers in garrets in tears over heroin while her children are starving. And you go through with the telegraph and radio and video games and television. These have all had this belief that it makes us stupider. Our DNA is still the same.
Yeah.
If you don't fill it with education, yes.
Yes. Russ.
Well, true, but to put in, like, write a 500-word essay about, I don't know, Jeff Jarvis, somebody's not going to be able to actually know how to A, write themselves, or B, how to
Yeah.
research themselves, or C, actually know anything about Jeff Jarvis, because they could just put it, into a Word doc and send it off without ever checking it.
Mm-hmm.
Should I tell you my Wikipedia story about me? So one day I'm walking down the hall when I was still teaching at Kinney, and a student comes out excitedly from a classroom, and she says, Jeff, I just read on Wikipedia that you're polyamorous.
Oh my God.
And that your wife's okay with it. And I said,
She was excited, like she was propositioning you, like she wanted to get in on it?
she had a problem in that way.
Okay.
So she'd known to just kiss people out of nowhere. So I said, no, that's not true. Don't believe everything you read. And can you go, I can't change Wikipedia. Can you go to Wikipedia and edit it for me?
Right. Because you have to be like,
So it ain't just AI, folks. It's human beings.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wikipedia for a long time said that I had lived in Paris and somewhere else.
Vienna. Doesn't it say?
No. I really did Vienna and
did.
Rome. But it also said that in addition to that, I lived in Paris and London on my way here, and I just know that just wasn't true.
I don't have a Wikipedia page, and I think that that's not a bad thing.
Watch out. You're going to get one now, Michelle.
Yeah,
No.
Actually, I tried to look it up before I asked to see whether you were from Boston when you made the Boston crack before.
Oh, no.
And it wasn't there. You have no shadow.
Watertown, New York, folks. That's where I grew up. Well, before we go, because I know we're strapped on time here, because Jeff's got very professory things to do. On a happier note, on our way out, I would just love to know, what are you guys watching right now? Are you watching anything if you have time?
Well, we've got to plug the one thing we know we're all watching.
Yeah.
Yes, which we will get to.
Oh, okay.
But,
All right.
Yeah.
I started with Vladimir.
Okay.
What is Vladimir?
That's Netflix. Yeah. It's what's his name? The guy with the white hair from Mad Men.
Oh, Roger Sterling, who I named my
Roger
cat
Sterling,
after.
right? Whatever his
John
actor name is. Thank you. So he plays a philandering professor who stopped with students 10 years ago, but still it comes out and there's a complaint against him. And his wife narrates this, and she can't stand it, but she's trying to save his pension. And so it's a comedy then about the academe, which I kind of enjoy. I'm not sure what I fully think yet, but it's okay. What about you guys?
All right.
I got nothing. I wish I had something to tell you guys. I have nothing. I come home. Well,
You just work.
I live home. I work, but my husband comes home and it's straight to CNN or MSNBC.
Yeah, you need a little.
I need a brain.
We got to go through like the big noise canceling headset and like a little iPad so you can watch movies or something.
I can't, because then he gets upset that I'm not participating.
Yeah. See, this is why my husband and I have TVs in 2 different rooms, and I'm like, you watch your soccer there. I'm going to watch my show, which I am still watching. Love Story on FX, which I'm very conflicted because it's very good, but I know the Kennedy family specifically, Jack Schlossberg, is very unhappy about it. And
Daryl Hannah today.
Daryl Hannah is very unhappy about it. And I've been saying, I was like, she should sue.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Sue for what Ryan Murphy is doing to her. Because if y'all have not seen it, in the New York Times, she did an op-ed. Daryl Hannah says, how can Love Story get away with this? Now, she had a 5-year on again, off again relationship with John F. Kennedy Jr. They obviously deeply cared for each other. They loved each other. They're making it out for her to seem kind of just like this needy, foolish, kind of oblivious person, which she's none of those. She's a brilliant actress.
If I may read a quick bit.
Please.
I have never used cocaine in my life or hosted cocaine-fueled parties. I have never pressured anyone into marriage. I have never desecrated any family heirloom or intruded upon anyone's private memorial. I have never planted any story in the press. I have never compared Jacqueline Onassis' death to a dog's. It's appalling to me that I even have to defend myself against a television show. These are not creative embellishments of personality. These are assertions about conduct, and they are false. Very powerful.
So
very powerful.
If he accused her of a felony, which I believe cocaine possession is, at least back then. It certainly was. I think that's defamation.
Absolutely.
Per se. I think she could just go ahead and sue. But I have a Timu Gump, Daryl Hannah story. I've spoken to Daryl Hannah several times. She was one of the Weinstein survivors.
Mm-hmm.
We had several conversations about that. Daryl Hannah is now she's married to Neil Young.
Yep. She's, by the way, just had relationships with fascinating people, cool guys. Like Val Kilmer wrote that one of his biggest heartbreaks in life was Daryl Hannah. Like, people don't just fall in love with like dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's an interesting.
Well, I'm here to tell you in real life. I've had conversations with her. She is very smart. She is not a dummy at all. I do not watch Love Story, so I don't know how she's being portrayed. But she is deeply thoughtful.
Yeah.
Very smart and a very empathetic person, and somebody who's been through a lot. Her career was basically destroyed by Harvey Weinstein because she would not go along.
Yep.
And nobody talks about that, but it was. So I just want to be very clear that I don't know what Ryan Murphy's doing to her, but it's bullshit and he shouldn't be doing it.
No. And some of the shitty things that he's even said to Jack Schlossberg, who was very critical of the portrayal, even just before it premiered. He said something really shitty to him, like, well, what do you even care? You barely knew him, or you didn't know him, or something. And I'm like, it's his mother's brother who died tragically. It's your family. And also Jack Schlossberg has said pretty publicly, and as he said on CBS Mornings last weekend, is when I think of my Kennedy family, it's my mom, my dad, me, and my sisters. He's like, we don't go to all those family reunions. We don't participate in all that stuff. Like, that's my family. And so he thinks of his uncle in a different way. And I think of like people who passed away. My grandmother passed away when I was 6 years old. Does that mean I don't care what somebody was trying to do to her character and portray her? Like, my God. And I just thought that it was really callous of Ryan Murphy. I think that I think he's gotten a little too big for his britches in the space that he is in. And I think he's probably taken this too far, and he's going to get sued. I
feel awful for Caroline Kennedy, who's been through.
Yes. God, she's been through.
She's been through it. And like, I understand that people think of the Kennedy family as property of the United States, and that they're celebrities, and that they are just, they belong to us. But the reality is they don't. They are real people with real feelings. And especially the reason I haven't watched Love Story, to be perfectly frank with you, Michelle, is because it came out right after Tatiana Schlossberg died. And I just think FX should have done the right thing, and at least if they had to do the show, waited a few months.
Yeah, you're right.
But,
even if it were fully positive of everybody involved, it's still exploitation.
Yeah, I think, you're absolutely right. I think that if my mental health, just because of the state of the world, wasn't in the place that it was, and I needed escapism in the way that I do, I might have probably taken a beat myself. But I've been just so desperate for literally anything. I mean, next I will be watching season 2 of Paradise, which, if you guys have not watched season 1, episode 7 of season 1 of Paradise was one of the most compelling hours of television I have
2
ever.
episodes in, so
is it heavy or is it funny? Is it like White Lotus, or is it like?
No, it's we'll talk in the car. I'll tell you. It's a little it's a little heavy in terms of like some end of the world kind of stuff, but doesn't really seem that far off. And our government that's not really going to tell anybody what's happening.
No. See, that's what I'm talking about. I need.
Yeah, this is why I've been putting off
dystopia. I tend to avoid.
I need I need White Lotus.
This is what I'm saying, and this is why I've been watching Love Story and like any other garbage that anybody will put in front of me. But the last thing is, before we go, is that we have been watching The Americans, because we are recording a podcast, which I'm trying to get a couple episodes in the bank here before we start releasing them. So we're a little ahead of it. So we're going to record our second episode this weekend. I have put together a trailer for this. It's not all it needs a couple tweaks, but it's just about there. And Julie asked me if I wanted to play this, and I will. You guys are the first to see this. So I guess I'll just play this now. Just knowing that
Chad is asking if there's a free version. If you have Hulu or Disney Plus, it is free. If you
Yeah.
don't have Hulu or Disney Plus, try Pluto if you have that, because I think that's free.
Mhm.
It might have commercials in it, but so did the original on FX.
Yeah.
I don't know if FX, if you have cable, has it on their app, maybe.
Yeah.
But I know Hulu's paid, folks. I get it. Try maybe
I know,
Pluto.
I'm
see if
sorry.
it's free.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pluto is free. So maybe try it on Pluto, see if it's there.
Yep. And also, like, you can buy season 1 on YouTube TV for $20. So, like, you know what I mean? I know money is money, but these are the things you can
Yeah.
do.
So this was the first one we did, was very political. I want to stress again, just to
Yeah.
set the template for what the environment was like. Both
Politics
when,
of the era.
politics of the era, but also politics of when the show came out.
Yeah, that's
But,
yeah,
but now, as we're getting into the shows, we're going to focus mostly on culture and on actually talking about the shows.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll play this trailer. Just know that some of the transitions and tweaking are not done yet. When we release the final version later today, that will be there, but you guys are the first to see this. So here we go. Once upon a time in 2013, a television show debuted on FX about deep cover Soviet spies living quietly in suburban America. Part of what the KGB called the Illegals program. It was a different world then. Barack Obama was president. And then, of course, there was this.
Well, Russia, I indicated, is a geopolitical foe. And I said in the same paragraph, I said, and Iran is the greatest national security threat we face.
In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back. You know, the Cold War's been over for 20 years.
Back then, the Americans felt like history. How quaint. Now, it feels like it was a warning.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find Russia.
Welcome to The Illegals, the Americans Rewatch podcast. A deep dive into one of the greatest television dramas ever made, and the real history behind it. Each episode, we rewatch The Americans with historians, Russian experts, disinformation researchers, and people who lived through it, including a Soviet refugee, intelligence experts, cultural critics, and storytellers. We'll discuss all of it, the music, the performances, and yes, we will absolutely be discussing the wigs. The Cold War didn't just shape our history. It shaped the world we're living in right now. The United States won the Cold War. Or did we? The Illegals, the Americans Rewatch podcast. Launching soon from the Mayday Network.
Well done, Michelle. Well done.
Great, Michelle. So good. So good.
I gotta run.
Okay,
You
have a
go.
great time teaching young minds. Try to not be polyamorous with any students. As your Wikipedia page apparently tells us you might be.
I think that's gone now. Please don't put it back, anyone.
No, please don't put it back. Probably should have mentioned it because God knows somebody will put it back. Okay, have a great time. And everybody, we will see you next week. And that's that. Bye,
That's
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.